Hello, boys and girls. Today you're going to start working on your Fasching mask. Kindergarten's theme is superheroes. So today you get to design your own superhero mask by adding colorful patterns filled with shapes, lines, and as many colors as you want. Today we're going to go ahead and use crayons. So before I get started, I can kind of go through my crayons and see what colors I want to use, maybe lay some out on my table. Now for any of my students at home, you might be using crayons and markers. But for my students that are at school, we're going to start with our crayon. All right, so first things first, I'm going to pick some colors that I really love to use. Remember, this is your superhero mask. So when you're making patterns, you want to make them represent you. So don't just pick any random color, pick colors that you really love. When we talk about making patterns, we talk about using several elements of art. Number one, color, and maybe a variety of color. Number two, lines. And number three, shapes. So on your mask, you can start by in a couple different ways. Number one, you could start by tracing the lines that already exist on your template, like these big shapes. I could trace, and I might turn my paper to make it a little bit easier to trace back and forth. Now, superheroes, their masks represent who they are. So think about what you want to add that's going to represent you. Maybe you love certain shapes. Maybe you love certain lines. I'm going to go ahead and start by outlining those two shapes. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to add some stripes. Now I'm adding straight lines, but you could do curvy, you could do zigzag, you could do loopy. The most important part is that with my crayon, I'm pressing pretty hard, not too soft and not so hard that I'm going to break my crayon, but not so soft that you're not going to see my line on my mask. All right, so step one, I just started on one shape. Now I'm going to go in, and I think I like how that outlining looks. So I'm going to go ahead and outline another shape. So first, I'm tracing it with the crayon. There we go. I think I'm going to do this one over here as well. So think about that. If you do something on one side of your mask, think about doing it on the other side of your mask. This is called symmetry, when one side matches the other. Now, I have this tiny little shape inside this part, so I think I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to color that in. Now, I'm not going to color in everything because in week 2, we're going to be adding more color to these using watercolor paint. Now, if you're at home, you'll be adding more color to these using marker. Or if you have watercolor paint at home, you could use watercolor paint. So once I have those areas filled in, I think I'm going to make a shape pattern. I'm going to make some polka dots. So first I'm going to go in and draw my circles like this. And then I'm going to go to this one and add some circle shapes to this, like that. And then before I move on, I think I'm going to add some lines inside here too. So I'm going to go ahead and add some lines. So remember, a pattern is when you combine colors, shapes, and lines. So you can use any shapes you want, any lines you want, but it's how you put them together that makes it interesting. So this next space, I'm going to go ahead and trace with a new color and add these pointy parts on my mask make me think of kind of like zigzags, or so I think maybe on this next one, or loopy lines. So I think maybe I'm going to do some like loopy lines. There we go. And do that all the way through that shape. Don't just stop. Keep going. Sometimes it's hard to make really interesting patterns, but you just have to keep going and persevere. Just like a superhero works very hard to help people. Now I think I'm going to go in and add kind of an extra line. So sometimes what you make, you just keep going. Just build one thing into the next. Once you make one part, then you could make another part. It kind of grows and grows and grows. Now, in the middle area, this looks kind of empty. So I'm going to go ahead and add a star right there in the center. So here we go. So I'm going to add a star and color that in. Remember, some elements you can color in, some you want to leave because we want to use the paint to fill those areas in. So now I'm going to go and add an outline. The other thing I really like about this paper is that if I want to test a color or see what it's going to look like, I can test it on this outer part of the paper and see how colorful it is and what it's going to be. All right. Last but not least, I'm going to keep going on this middle area right here, this bottom area. Again, I'm going to start with my outlining. So I'm outlining my shapes that I already have on my mask. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my pattern inside. So I did one eye and then the other. You can add different colors, you can add different shapes, and you can definitely make lots of beautiful patterns. Before I get to those patterns, I'm going to just trace this bottom. And there we go. And then last but not least, I'm going to go in and add, some sort of a stripe. So I added stripes up here. So now, actually, maybe I'll change my mind. I'm going to add some scalloped lines, like eyelashes. Superheroes can be boys. Superheroes can be girls. Superheroes can be helpful. Superheroes are brave. I think you guys are all of these things. So I like that this is our theme for this year's Fasching Masks, because I think I have a group of some wonderful superhero kindergartners. All right. So again, finish those patterns and designs in the time that you have in class. And if you didn't quite finish, we will have a little bit more time at the beginning of next class before we start doing our painting. Anyone at home who's working on theirs, remember, all we need to get through today is adding some pattern with our crayon, and then part 2 will be adding the rest of our color. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you soon. Auf Wiedersehen. I can't wait to see what you come up with.